Thank you so much for staying tuned. If you just joined us, this is TMI. No doubt, so many have the opinion that the governor of Edo State, Senator Monday Okpebholo, not spent up to 7 months in office, but is beginning to impress Edo people, Edo citizens. You've heard about the flyover, 35% completed, still being constructed massively. You've seen also about roads being constructed, roads being, created, so to speak, or built to expose the urban areas, the rural areas to urban development. Because once there is a tarred road, take it or leave it, they will not actually get to that particular point. Yes, and it's doing all that. Civil servants, they are happy, added something to the minimum wage. Even converted some sweepers, yes, to government workers. They are now in the role of receiving or having minimum wage. But there is a set of people, Edo State citizens, indigents of Edo State in the rural community, that are, I don't know, how do you feel about it? All right. Are they really getting what others are getting, so to speak, in this administration? Those not up to a year, others are beginning to enjoy. What about those in the Riverine community? With me here in the studio is Omagomi Olu Derimo, a youth mobilizer, chairman, Gele community. It's a pleasure to have you join me this morning.
Yeah, thank you. Happy Sunday.
Yeah, happy Sunday to you also. Your wife celebrated her birthday yesterday, right? Happy birthday. Yeah. Belated. Mine was 25th of June. Yeah.
Oh, nice. Happy birthday in arrears.
All right, thank you so much. So, what is it for the right communities? The governor, for what people are saying, for what we are seeing, he's trying. He said he's not going to leave any stone unturned. So,
yeah, thank you very much. Thank you for having me. Happy Sunday, viewers. I think for me, I have a personal perspective and personal opinion, and I'm going to express just that. For me, so to say, the governor is doing his best, and for me, he's trying. But within the urban setting, he's doing a whole lot. But what we are saying in the Riverine part of Edo State, because Edo State is a coastal state, and we have over 300 communities in Edo State, 300 Riverine communities within the fringes of
300 Riverine communities in Edo State.
Within the fringes of Ovia Southwest, Ovia Northeast, and Ikpoba Oka. And those communities are possibly cut off from the city. And our issues are fundamental. There is historical neglect of our area, marginalization in terms of political patronage, in terms of development. You don't have roads leading to our communities. You don't have health infrastructure there. You don't have, in fact, the educational infrastructure is even worse. And those are the areas we're really clamoring for. Like in the state, politically, you have board appointments, you have committees. In the state executive, we don't even have any representative. And for us, it's not the fault of this present governor. It's been an historic issue right from the onset, from Midwest to Bendel and now to Edo State. The story is still the same. And for us, it's a burden on us. And I think it's time for us to really speak out and make the public get this awareness, let them know what is happening in the Riverine part of Edo State. Because today, if you ask, who are the Riverine dwellers in Edo State? We're Ijo people, basically. And if you go to that area, in fact, you pity us. You pity us. And today, there is this ideology that you have some kind of criminal element in that area when it comes to kidnapping and all that. So when there is kidnapping around the urban area, and you say, no, we have to contact somebody from the Riverine end. Sometimes these stories are not true, but sometimes they could be true. And if I say, why are they actually referring to that area? Because probably the volatile nature of the riverine terrain. And why is the riverine terrain so volatile? And it is because fundamentally lack of education. The education infrastructure is near zero in the riverine part of the
You mean you don't have teachers?
In fact,
You don't have schools.
No schools. Even the few schools you have there, they are dilapidated.
Yeah,
they are in the
you
state.
know what, viewers, just hold on. At least we had some clips there. One or two things happened. Couldn't really, bring forward this clip because of some distortions in the video. Maybe later we'll go back again and recapture this community. After all, we are all in Edo State. What is good for the goose is good for the gander. Please continue.
Yeah, like you have in Gili, you have communities like Tolofa, you have Iboro, you have Ofunama, you have Ajakrama, you have Belukaka, and these communities, they are highly populated, highly. In fact, when you get to those communities, it will amaze you that you have such communities in those states. And every little development you see in those areas are self-help.
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 Are you not saying that the government of the day, right from the onset of the Midwest, Bendel now to Edo State, no government of a political party has come to that place to do one fundamental thing in these communities? Is that what you're saying right now?
Fundamentally, I would
Mind
say,
you, you are on national TV.
Yeah, fundamentally, I will tell you no. Fundamentally, I'll say no, because anything you see there that has to represent the government, state, federal, local government, they are minimal compared to what we as a people ought to have been enjoying as citizens of the state and as Nigerians. And furthermore, it also interests you that there are a lot of resources in those areas. Like within Ovia Southwest, you have the Okomu Forest Reserve that cut across maybe Inikra, Ufunama, Ajakrama, Igbuleba, and many other riverine communities. And you know the Okomu oil palm is located within that area. And you know what that is to Edo State. You know what that is to Nigeria. Then coming back to Ovia's northeast local government area, like Gele, since 1963, oil was discovered in Gele. You have a gas flare there. And I can tell you for free that the infrastructural development in our community, that's where I'm from, I was born and bred there. In fact, it's nothing to tell them about. It's in a poor state. You see, we still pay teachers from our pockets.
From your own pockets?
Yeah. We still pay teachers.
Hold on. You pay teachers from your own pockets?
Yes, the records are there. You can even call the principal. It will tell you what we are experiencing in our community. There are no teachers, we lack teachers. And so most of the time, you see parents taking their children from the community to the city. And at the end of the day, that means you want to kill the government schools that we have in our community.
Okay,
so
hold on now.
Drift.
Well, though you are like, a high figure there, you talk about education near zero. How many government schools are in your community? Are you not saying that those government schools, you were the one, or you are the ones paying the teachers teaching in that government schools, if there are any?
Yeah, we have, like in Gile community,
yes.
So to say. I'm using Gile community as a
because that's a microcosm, yes.
Yeah, I'm using that as a case study. Because what I'm experiencing in Gile community is what they're experiencing probably in Ajakrama, in Ofunama, probably in Tolofa, probably in Itagbene. So, like for instance, maybe it's like in our secondary school, Equity Grammar School, you have probably the principal, then probably maybe one other government or two government teachers. The rest we have more of community teachers. And we pay them monthly, on a monthly basis. So sometimes we don't meet up with the payment, we have to appeal to them. We have to beg them to keep the faith going, to hold on until we have money to pay them. So at the end of the day, you know the ripple effect of that. Once some students will leave because probably the payment is not regular, and that will also discourage the teachers. Some teachers even have to maybe
but hold on. In the twilight of Governor Obasanjo's administration, some things were moved to the rural community. We have boats, we have government presence. What happened to them?
Some boats, two boats were actually taken to the Riverine end. They are still in Gile community, but as we speak, those boats are just there. They're not being used. They are not in use. Because, you know, at some time, that's some of the issues we have with government. You know, probably when you're trying to do something, there should be a level of need assessment. What do these people need? Even if they need boat, what kind of boat do they need? The boats that we have, you know, they're not economically friendly, because if you have to use them to transport people, if you want to fill those boats, that means probably in a stretch you'll be spending like close to like 800,000 naira. Who can afford that at this present dispensation, where, you know, the economy is just trying to rebound and all that? So it's really crazy. I think there was this level of a relationship with the people. You know, there is need assessment. We should be able to tell them the kind of boat that we need, that will fit our terrain, that will be economically friendly to the people, and at least the commoners, they can also be beneficiary to that boat. But the market women, business women, people who are traveling probably from Ondo to Delta to Edo for market activities. Because basically we have the Ekawa market, which is one of the oldest markets in Edo State. It's a fish market, basically. But today you have all kind of varieties in that market. So people from the city comes to Ekawa, and people from the Riverine come. So there is a meeting point. So if such boats are friendly, probably economically friendly, they can go to a Ondo, ferry people down at a low cost. They can go to Delta, ferry people down to Ekewa, all the way from Baramatu in Delta State. People come to the market. All the way from Agadagba or in Ondo State. People come to Ekewa market.
You guys foot the bill, not government presence.
Which of the bills, sorry?
Because you're talking about the boats right now. The boats are there to ferry people.
Yeah, they're meant to ferry people, but as I'm speaking, the boats are not in use. They're not in use at all.
All right. Now let's take a look. Let's talk about the health implications. Talking about your health facilities. How is it there?
In fact, the health facilities is in comatose, so to say, because like we have only one health center in Giligili community that was built by Dubai Oil Company. The staff you have there are just probably one nurse from the local government. You don't have doctors in the health facility we have in Giligili community.
Now, how do you guys manage health-wise?
Sometimes, you know, you have to ferry people who are in critical condition from Giligili down to Edo State. And most of the time, before they get to Benin, the unthinkable would have happened. And I think statistically, to a rough estimate, we've lost more than 200 persons with just Giligili, because sometimes those are the endpoints.
Yes.
Endpoints deep down the river area. They have to bring their the sick people to Giligili, from Giligili before they transport them down to Benin. And you know the stretch.
The stretch.
And you know what that would have actually happened within that short period.
But someone is saying these projects you're talking about, these should be federal government projects, that they might be beyond state government. What do they say about that?
No, it's not beyond. I think for me, sometimes I feel this marginalization is deliberate.
Yeah. Deliberate. Why would you say it's deliberate?
It's deliberate because over time we've complained over time. You know, there are people who have complained. Most of the time you see these issues being coming to the public domain through media. Communities, they've written to the government and all that, but still we're still in this same state. And I think that's why we're really coming out this time around to see what this new brand governor will do. And everything we're doing, we don't have an issue with the governor. We're not fighting with the governor. All we're trying to say, what you're doing in the city, come and replicate it in the Riverine end. And besides, you know, the Riverine end of Edo State can be another tourism center for the state, and that will actually go a long way to generate revenue for the state, because in the riverine part of this area you have some fine locations. Like in Giligili we have a beach that we're building, but because of lack of fund we have to abandon the project.
You're doing it from your own pockets?
Yeah, from our own pocket. We're building a beach. You know what that will actually you know what it will generate for the state, because in Edo State today there's not like beach. People who have to actually, fund seekers need to go all the way to Delta to actually enjoy themselves. Some even travel far away to Lagos to enjoy themselves. Whereas we have all the facilities to create.
So you're saying it's a potential tourist site?
Yes, sure.
Wow. Interesting. Well, we have to bring up this because, like I said earlier on, what is good for the goose, come on, it's good for the gander, in the sense that whatever is happening in the urban areas, I mean, it should be taken also through the Riverine area. After all, they are part of Edo State. Well, have you ever contacted the government of the day about what is going on in your community? Be honest here.
Yeah, we have.
Have you done that?
Yeah, we have. We've written letters.
Yeah.
We're also talking to some of the aides. We're trying to seek audience with the governor to see that our issues are taken very seriously. And beside, one area I really want also dwell on is about the political marginalization, because it's as though we're not part of the state, but frankly speaking, we're part and parcel of the state. Not just a part and parcel of the state, but an integral part of the state. You know, we are riverine dwellers. We inhabit that part. Like in the area of political marginalization, I want to narrow it down like to the oil and gas, where my community is an oil and gas producing area. And in Gelegele, which is the host to Dubai Oil Company, you also have another community, Uoto, as a host community, then Ikpako, then the Oduna Ward as an impact community. And all these why, since the inception of the ESOPA, the Edo State Oil and Gas Producing Development Commission, we've not been carried along, we've not been appointed. And they are trying to use a semantics, probably if you have to pick someone, the person has to come from the oil and gas producing local government. And that commission was established by law. And critically, when you look into the law, you will find out that it's not, it doesn't expand the selection of a rep of that board from the local government. It actually narrowed it down to
the community
oil producing area. And oil producing area does not connote oil producing local government area. And in this new dispensation, the Edo State House of Assembly now amended that same law to accommodate more people. And at the end of the day, they still could not accommodate people from that axis. And for us, I think that's one area we really want to call the attention of the governor. Because sometimes you cannot blame the governor for everything, because he's not there. It gives room for leaders to make nomination, and he approves. You know, and at the end of the day, some political leaders will go probably selfishly take people within their constituency or within their ward or within their axis without putting those who actually bear the brunt of oil activities or the oil community, oil producing communities. So I think we are in that state, and I think the governor needs to really address that issue. Because right now, there is an existing oil and gas commission now, and the government needs to address that issue.
So you're talking about political marginalization, development marginalization, all forms of marginalization.
All forms.
But sorry, let's go into politics right now. How many votes do your community can produce or garner in an election? They don't come into campaign, right?
Yeah, definitely. Except for this last election, for the past 2-3 elections, even the candidate, the governor candidates, they come down to the community. Both PDP, both APC, both Labour. Like the last time, I think the Labour Party came, the PDP candidate came, except for the APC. But basically, at the end of the day, like in our community, Gilegele community, the APC won in that axis in our community and all that, the 2 units. And the voting strength there is large. Because, you know, Gilegele community has some other smaller communities under it. And like in Gilegele, you have like over about 2,000 voters just within Gilegele community. And putting all of the Riverine communities together is huge. Like for instance, the by-election of Via Federal constituency is coming up. You will see the activities that will come up.
All right, now you just hold on. We're talking about the Riverine area factor developed in Edo State. That's what we are really here to talk about. We want to go for a break. When we return, we will definitely continue with this discussion. Remember, we are all in Edo State, and you cannot be developing one side and the other part is crying, because if you see what they are doing for your neighbor and it's not getting to you, come on, it brings some kind of negative psychological impact. After all, these are card-carrying members of political parties. They are citizens. They voted for the government of the day. They also need government attention. We'll be right back. Don't go away. Thank you so much for staying tuned. If you just joined us, this is TMI. With me here in the studio is Omagomi Oluderimo, Chairman, Gelegele Community. We're talking about development in Edo State. The Riverine area factor, that is what we're taking a look at. It is speaking rather at length about marginalization. Infrastructurally speaking, they are not there, they are not factored. Educationally speaking, they are not factored. Health-wise, you just name it. They are not just the political marginalization. Also, as a part of his complaint, saying that they've been cut off from Edo State, though they are part of Edo State. It's like being in Edo State, but not of Edo State. What is really going on? But your people have been fingered for some of these notorious crimes committed in Edo State, vis-a-vis kidnapping. You had to I wanted to throw more light on it. Do you feel that if development should come to that particular area, Riverine area, do you feel that all these things will not happen?
Yeah, thank you for that question. In fact, I really want to dwell on that question a little bit.
Yes.
You know, crime is like, it's a syndicate. You can't just probably peg crime to one location. Because if there is a crime from this end, you should know that there is a collaboration from this end. So it's a gang work. So you can't just say from this end. Yes, there might be pockets of criminality. But I want to say this, like I didn't mention the first part of our conversation. When education refines the mind.
True.
And when there is no avenue for education, when there is no avenue for schooling, anybody can come up with anything. You can compare someone who lives probably in a serene environment to someone who lives in a touched environment. The thinking, the mentality will be different. Because at the end of the day, if I stay probably in the creek, because one of the things that actually led to the unrest in the creek was when some persons from the creek visited Abuja. And they saw the ambience, they saw the beauty, they saw dexterity, well-planned roads, planned environment and all that. And they felt the resources were coming out from my hand to fix this and why they leave our areas in shambles. And then at the end of the day, the adverse implication. And so somehow, the pocket of criminality probably you see in this end is what is happening, the neglect. Honestly, for instance, in the advent of bunkering, when the bunkering was at its peak, you see everything reduced, criminality reduced, because people actually now resort to bunkering, probably a lesser crime. Illegal bunkering. And at that time, one kidnapping was almost at its barest minimum. There was no breaking and entry, no stealing. Crime was reduced. But when
because the youths were engaged, though negatively.
That's why I said illegal.
Illegal. Yes.
Probably a crime that probably they can indulge in, because they use it to help themselves. They feel that these are resources. So since probably we're not getting the dividend from these resources, let's find a way to get
which is totally wrong.
Totally wrong.
Yes.
Because there are adverse effects, environmental degradation, water pollution, and all that. But since the federal government came in, engaged Trantita and some other pipeline securities companies, at least that actually curb the illegal bunkering, and today at least we can breathe in fresh air from our area. The ecosystem is much more better compared to before. So coming back to your question, you know, that illegal bunkering reduced criminality to a very barest minimum. So if our environments were refined, there are schools, probably there is just one higher institution in the Riverine Park. You know what that will actually solve? It will take people from the streets, engage them, refine their mind, educate them, and from there they start pursuing their career. You can imagine someone who is pursuing probably a career in law or a career in medicine or engineering, or so to say, want to engage himself in crime. Because why? He knows the implication. When he commits a crime, he knows the implication. Probably he go to jail. Like for me, probably to an extent, I wouldn't want to indulge in something that has to do with criminality, and at the end of the day, I will not put the rest of my future in jeopardy when I knew that there's a future ahead. When I know that something good is ahead of me, when I know that I have to train my children, I have to take care of my family. So a lot of people are depending on me, they're waiting for me and all that. So these are one of the issues that we're facing. When there is criminality, you're quick to pinpoint our environment. You're quick to pinpoint the river end. But when it comes to development, man, you're folding your hands. And let me quickly say this.
Yes.
You know, I wouldn't want to mention some communities. The neglect of our riverine communities has some kind of negative implications. Negative implication and against the state. Because as we speak, you know, the government might not know the areas that are, or the boundaries between Edo and Delta. Because Edo State is bounded, within Edo, Ondo. We have a boundary with Ondo. We have a boundary with Delta. And funny enough, some of these communities from Edo are probably claiming Ondo, and some are claiming Delta. And some of those communities are well endowed with natural resources. The implication is that at the end of the day, who now benefits those resources? Probably Delta State, probably Ondo State. And if you go to those communities, they are Edo communities. And you see infrastructure from Delta in those communities. Infrastructure in terms of maybe you have a school there in that community. You have a school there, probably they are claiming on those states. And at the end of the day, they are all falling to Edo State. I can name them, but probably that will be off camera. The government really need to come to this aspect of these old.
So what advice right now do you have for the government, knowing fully well that he has started on a good note from your own angle?
My advice to our well-doing governor, our brand new governor, who is, I'm a fan to the governor.
Called a tear rubber governor.
A tear rubber governor is doing well. Is that he should actually have a focus in the riverine end of Edo State, and also take a statistics of the riverine communities in Edo State. And at the time he does that, I think it will save a whole lot of resources for the states, and by implication that will also bring a level of development to our area, to our end. So in terms of education, it should look in that direction very critically. In terms of health, very importantly. Then at the same time,
political. The way you are showing on political, is like that is it.
Yeah, because that will also give you that mentality that yes, I've been carried along. I'm from the state.
Yes.
Because I can't be giving my resources and at the end of the day I'm not benefiting.
Thank you. Thank you. Not to worry, we'll have enough to really expatiate. Maybe our cameras will zoom into the communities to find out what is really happening.
So we'll
maybe do a special report on that.
We'll be glad.
Do a special report on that. Okay. Thank you so much. Well, you've heard him. Lots and lots of things need to be done in the riverine community. After all, the land part of it, the urban, the rural, they're at least having a field of governance. What about the riverine areas? Lots and lots of complaints. Mind you, if it festers, that may just be a hub for criminality. Nobody wants that. Like what you rightly said, education refines the mind. No school, no hospital. Come on, bad roads. Think about it. Mr. Governor, please, you have to pay attention to Riverine communities in Edo State. Well, with that, we'll come to the end of today's edition of This Morning on ITV. Thank you so much for being a part of it. See you some other time. Bye for now.